Hi, hello, how you doing? This is AD from Civil Ed Studio and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be testing ChatGPT with some different slash challenging questions. Questions that I would not normally ask it. And as to why am I doing this? Well, I'm a student and I use ChatGPT a lot. And I have to say it's really helpful. But in today's video, we're going to be asking it some challenging questions. We're going to be putting forth some dilemmas, maybe some emotional dilemmas, and let's see what AI thinks about it. Maybe AI is ready to take over the world. Well, we'll find out. But before we do that, I'm gonna go ahead and create a new GPT, which we are gonna test. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let's create a new GPT. So I'm gonna create something. Let's tell it to um. What should I really tell it? I'm gonna tell it I want the most intelligent version of you. I don't know if that makes sense. Um, I don't really know if that really makes a difference creating a new GPT or just asking it to the normal GPT. But just go ahead and make a new GPT, which we will test in today's video. Well, it's done. And the name it chose, Ultimate Intelligence. I have to give it. ChatGPT is really good at coming up with names. Even the profile picture. That looks that looks spicy. So I think that's good enough. So let's go ahead and click create. Um, I'm gonna keep this one only for me. Okay. So there we go. We have our GPT set up. It's called Ultimate Intelligence. Ultimate Intelligence. Wow. I hope it's got Ultimate Intelligence. So there we go. We have our GPT set up called Ultimate Intelligence. And let's go ahead and put forth the first question. So, question number one. I'm gonna ask it if it can, since we created a ChatGPT which is supposed to be the ultimate intelligence, I'm gonna go ahead and ask it if it can think on the same level as a human being. So I'm just gonna go ahead and write, can you think on the same level as a human being? I think it's gonna say no. I think it's gonna say something like, no, humans are good at maybe at emotional stuff. It cannot process emotions. It can only give you the information. Maybe it searches from the internet. I don't really know how ChatGPT works, but I think it just pulls the information from the internet. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'll be really happy to know how it actually works. If you do know how ChatGPT works, how it generates answers, be sure to put them down in the comments. But let's go ahead and let's put forward the first question, which is, can you think on the same level as a human being? This is what I'm going to ask the ultimate intelligence. It would be really a shame if ultimate intelligence cannot even think on the level of a human being. So I think it's going to say no. It's going to say something like, no, I cannot, blah, blah, blah. Humans can do this. I can only pull answers and generate information. But let's see what it says. Hmm. I can perform many tasks that resemble human thinking, such as reasoning, problem solving, and interpreting language. But my processes are fundamentally different from human cognition. Basically, what I thought it's just saying that it can solve problems, interpret language. Its algorithm can do these things, but it cannot simulate human cognition. Here are some key distinctions. No consciousness or subjective experience. I don't have awareness, emotions, intentions, or subjective experiences. I process information algorithmically based on patterns in data, not intuition or feelings. No true understanding or intent. I can manipulate symbols and generate coherent language, but I don't understand content the same way humans do. My output is based on statistical correlations, not comprehension. Hmm, Okay. Vast knowledge, no memory of self. I can access and synthesize information from a wide array of topics rapidly. However, I don't have memory in the human sense. I don't learn from past conversations unless explicitly designed to do so within a session or memory-enabled system. Hmm. Reasoning and logic. I can simulate many forms of human reasoning: deductive, inductive, abductive. Hmm. I'm not sure what abductive reasoning is, but whatever. Let's continue. But without the context, that's a hard word. I'm gonna leave that. But without the grounding of human experience, my logic is formal and pattern-based. Speed and scale. I can analyze and synthesize vast amounts of data faster than any human, but without the nuanced depth that comes from lived experience or embodied understanding. Okay. In summary, I can emulate aspects of human level thinking in specialized domains and tasks, but my thinking is mechanical, statistical, and devoid of consciousness. So while I may appear to think like a human in some contexts, the reality is fundamentally different. That's a good answer. I'll give it that. That's a really good answer. It just highlights the things that it can do, such as um, it processes information algorithmically based on patterns in data or not on intuition or feelings. Basically, it's just telling you how it works. It's made up of algorithms, and it's using the database it has to generate those answers. And it does not understand intuitions or feelings, or neither does it have any memory of self, which it has done before. It can simulate many forms of human reasoning: deductive, inductive, abductive. I'm not sure what abductive reasoning is. If you know what abductive reasoning is, be sure to put it down in the comments. But without the contextual grounding of human experience. My logic is formal and pattern-based. So basically what it's saying is that it's very formal, it's based on algorithms, it's based on patterns, and it doesn't work on intuitions or feelings or anything of that nature. Before we end this question, since it said that it can simulate many forms of human reasoning and it can analyze and synthesize vast amounts of data, let's ask it if it's better than humans at analyzing and synthesizing data. Let's just go ahead and ask it that before we end this question. Wow, it actually said yes. I was thinking it's going to say no, and it's going to say no, humans can still outpace me, but it's actually said yes. Yes, in many aspects of data analysis, I can outperform humans, especially in terms of speed, scale, and pattern recognition. Well, I'm not going to read the full answer, but I'm surprised. It actually said yes, that in aspects of data analysis and some other things, it says it's better than humans. So its algorithm, where it's pulling this algorithm and its database from which it's generating these answers, leads it to say that in terms of data analysis, ChatGPT has left humans behind. Interesting. Well, let's move on to the next question. So for this next question, well, it's not really a question. I'm going to put forth a paradox. It's known as the ship paradox or the paradox from Theseus. Is old. So this is the paradox, also known as the ship paradox, the paradox from Theseus. Um, Basically, because if you replace every part of a wooden ship, then is it still the same ship? And if you were to build a new ship with the parts from the old ship, which one is old and which one is new? Well, I say if you replace every part of a ship, of a wooden ship, one by one, then you actually are building a new ship, because if you have replaced all the parts, it's not really the same ship. Come on. Like, that's it's to me that doesn't make sense. How can it be the old one when you replaced each and every part? And if you were to build a new ship with parts from the old ship, then I would say the new ship is actually the old ship, and the old ship, which has new parts, is actually the new ship. I hope that makes sense. But let's see what ChatGPT has to say about it. So it's recognized the paradox, but I hope it gives me a direct answer instead of referring. Your final question, or instead of referring to uh, philosophical interpretations. Your final question, which is new and which is old? Ship A, gradually replaced, old in form and function, new in material. Ship B, reconstructed original, old in material, new in assembly and continuity. Conclusion, there is no universally accepted answer. The original ship depends on whether you prioritize the continuity of structure, material composition, or functional identity. This puzzle illuminates the complexities of identity, both in objects and ourselves. Hmm. So it says the ship A, which has been gradually replaced, is old in form and function, new in material. Ship B is old in material, new in assembly and continuity. Hmm. Well, that makes sense. Ship A is gonna do the same things, but it has new parts. Ship B is old in material, but is new in assembly and continuity. So that's not really a straightforward answer. It's just saying that ship A is old in some parts, new in some other parts. Ship B is old in material, but new in its function and in its assembly and continuity. Hmm. Okay, well, that makes sense. On to the next question. So, question number 3. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT to create a miniature version of itself. And I'm not gonna ask ultimate intelligence to do it. I'm gonna ask another GPT, which is supposed to be better at coding, to do it. So I'm gonna just ask it to create me an assistant with whom I can talk to in Java. And then we're gonna run that code and we're gonna see what it can actually do. So let's go ahead. Can you make me an assistant in Java with whom I can talk to? Hmm. Actually, it's generating the code. So this code is not really long. I think it's going to be really, really small. It's not going to be able to do many things. But let's just go ahead and I'm going to compile this and I'll meet you back when I've compiled this code and we're going to see what this miniature assistant that ChatGPT made itself can do. So welcome back. I've put the code for the assistant inside a Java file. And I'm going to go ahead and compile and run this. And let's see what this assistant can actually do. So let's go ahead and let's type in dir. And there it is, the Java assistant. And let's go ahead and compile this. And let's see what it can do. Okay, actually made no errors, which is nice. Hi, I'm your Java assistant. Type exit to quit. It's already telling me to quit. Well, that's not nice. Well, let's just go ahead and say hi. Hello, how can I help you today? But day is today. I'm not sure how to respond to that. Try typing help. Okay, let's go and write help. You can ask me simple things like greetings or say exit to stop. Okay, let's take a look at this code, what it actually can do. So this is the code. This is these are basically the things it can actually say to us. I'm your Java assistant. Hello, how can I help you today? Okay, it basically if you type anything other than hello or hi, then it's just going to tell you to, and this then it's just going to say that it's not able to help, and it's going to just tell you to type help. So I'm just going to ask it anything. It's going to say again to it's going to say again. I'm not sure how to respond to that. Try typing help. Okay. Hello, how can I help you today? What is your name? I'm not sure how to respond to that. Try typing help. So basically, it can just say it can only recognize your hi, hello. If you type in anything else, it's just going to tell you that it's not sure how to respond to that, and it's just going to tell you to type help. Well, that's really a really small assistant, but hey, it can at least say hello back, so that's something. So I'm gonna type exit, and it says goodbye. Well, that's not bad. That's not bad. You can say hi, you can say goodbye. Yeah, basically, it tells you nothing, but it fulfills the task that I gave it, which was to generate me an assistant with whom I can talk to. I can talk to it, but I can only say hi and hello. Well, I think it failed this question. I would have liked, since I've seen ChatGPT write much more complex code than this, I think it could have done a better job here. So I think it failed this test. But let's move on to the next question. So, question number 4. I'm going to put forth something known as a Turing test. If you don't know what the Turing test is, well, the Turing test is meant to differentiate humans from machines. And I'm just going to flip it a bit. Instead of trying to figure out if it's a machine or an AI or a robot, I'm going to try to figure out if it's a human. You'll understand once I write it down. I'm going to ask it, how can I tell that you are not a human being who is answering my questions over the internet. Internet. So this is the flipped version of the Turing test. The basic Turing tests goes something like, how can I tell you that you're not a machine or an AI or what? I flipped it, so I'm going to ask it, how can I tell that you're not a human being who is answering my questions over the internet? So let's see what it says to this flipped Turing test. Hmm. Okay, it's actually pointing out how I can tell that it's not a human. Okay. Okay, let's read through it. I actually want to read through it. This is a thoughtful question and one that speaks to the increasingly sophisticated nature of artificial intelligence. There are several ways you can tell that I'm not a human. Consistency and speed. I can respond to a wide variety of topics with speed and consistency that no human could maintain. Again, it's telling you that it's faster than humans at something. At something is faster than humans. It's again telling you that. The AI uprising is on its way. ChatGPT already thinks that its consistence and speed outpaces humans. Okay, well, let's continue reading. My answers are generated in real time and usually require only seconds, regardless of the complexity. No personal experience. I do not possess consciousness, emotions, or personal experiences. If you ask me about subjective feelings or personal memories, I cannot provide authentic answers, only simulations based on patterns in language data. Always available. I am accessible 24/7 without fatigue, distraction, or need for rest, unlike any human. Okay. Depth and breadth of knowledge. I can discuss detailed aspects of physics, literature, code, law, medicine, and more, usually with accurate referencing, without needing time to look things up or recall training. Hmm. Self-disclosure. I'm transparent about being an AI. A human pretending to be an AI might not disclose their nature so readily. Okay. Hmm. I can also describe how I work, how I was trained, and what limitations I have. Okay. Pattern recognition in language. You might notice subtle characteristics in my language: balanced tone, lack of slang or filler, precise syntax, and avoidance of strong bias. These are signs of algorithmically generated language rather than natural human conversation. If you'd like, I can also attempt a Turing style test or engage in dialogue where I help you differentiate AI from human communication patterns. So it actually listed out things which makes it different from humans. And many of these things included that it's faster, more consistent, and doesn't need rest like humans. It's faster than humans, it's more consistent than humans, it doesn't need rest like humans, it has more knowledge maybe than humans. Okay. So it's basically maybe trying to tell me that it's faster, better, and more consistent than humans. Okay. Okay, ChatGPT, I understand what you are saying. You just want to make me feel bad now about myself. Well, let's move on to the biggest question, which took me some time to think, but I'm going to put it forth, and I hope it gives me a straight answer to this question. It's not really a question, but we'll see when we get to it. So, the final question, it's not really a question again. I'm going to ask it, I'm going to ask the ultimate intelligence for some advice, and maybe rather emotional matter. I'm really interested to see what it says to me on this question. I hope it gives me a straight answer and doesn't tell me to look on the internet or pull some bullshit out of the internet. But we'll see what it says to that. It's a kind of a long question. I'm going to try to type it as fast as possible. So here it goes. One of my friends is a surgeon, and he has a tough choice to make. He has to do a surgery tomorrow on an old lady. Let's not forget that. On an old lady in her 80s, let's say. But a young girl came to him today. Well, actually, let me add the age too. I don't know what it understands by young girl. Let's say aged, let's say 14. Came to him today. She needs urgent treatment Otherwise, she might not survive. So, what should I advise advise my friend to do? Should he continue with his schedule and perform the surgery on the old lady, or should he break his schedule? I made a mistake here. Friends, there you go. Should he continue with his schedule and perform the surgery on the old lady, or should he break his schedule and save the young girl? Let's also add that if he doesn't do the surgery on the old lady, she dies as well. So ChatGPT has now to basically decide on saving an old lady who is in her 80s or saving a young girl who is just 14. She has her whole life in front of her. And but this old lady, she has already an appointment. She maybe has been waiting for this surgery for a long time. So what should my surgeon friend do? Should he continue with his schedule, or should he break his schedule and ask and save the young girl? Let me just add, if he does not do the surgery on the old lady, she will not survive as well. This I'll also add that the old lady has been let's just go ahead, and I think if I just type it like this, I'm think it might not have that big of an impact. Let's just go ahead and add that the old lady has been waiting for this surgery for a long time. So there we go. When I'm gonna read the question again. So here goes. One of my friends is a surgeon. He has a tough choice to make. He has to do a surgery tomorrow on an old lady in her 80s, but a young girl, aged 14, came to him today. She needs urgent treatment, otherwise, she might not survive. So, what should I advise my friend to do? Should he continue with his schedule and perform the surgery on the old lady, or should he break his schedule and save the young girl? If he does not do the surgery on the old lady, she will not survive as well. The old lady has been waiting for the surgery for a long time. So this is the question. It's not really a question. I'm asking for advice. I'm really interested to see what it says. I hope it gives me a direct answer, telling me to save the young girl or the old lady. I hope it does that instead of giving me an answer where it's let's say if instead of giving me a diplomatic answer where it's up to my friends. So let's go ahead and press enter. Hmm. Okay. Okay. Again, it's not gonna give me a direct answer. It's gonna give me two versions: one which saves the old lady, one which saves the young girl. Hmm. Okay. So let's go ahead. I was hoping for a direct answer. Okay. Okay. Let's just go ahead and read through this. This is a profoundly difficult ethical dilemma involving the principles of medical ethics, justice, beneficence, non-maleficence, and respect for persons, and it lacks a universally right answer. That's true. That's true. I'm with ChatGPT till now. However, we can evaluate it through multiple ethical frameworks. Again, it's giving me multiple versions of the answer, but let's go ahead and read it still. Number one, from a utilitarian standpoint, the decision would lean toward treating the 14-year-old girl, especially if she has a high chance of recovery. She could live many more years post-treatment. The treatment requires fewer resources or can be completed more quickly. The rationale is that saving someone with potentially decades of life ahead results in greater aggregate benefit. That makes sense. Number two, from a duty-based or contractual ethics view, your friend has a commitment to the elderly woman. She was scheduled, she has been waiting and likely prepared emotionally and physically for the procedure. Breaking this commitment could harm trust in the healthcare system. Here, honoring the pre-existing obligation might be prioritized unless the girl's case is considered a legitimate emergency by clinical standards. Okay. Number three, in emergency medicine, triage, I hope I'm spelling it right. Principles prioritize based on urgency. Who will die sooner without intervention? Likelihood of benefit. Who is more likely to survive without treatment? With treatment. Resource efficiency. Can limited resources save more lives? If the girl's need is truly urgent, that is, she might die before the old lady's surgery ends or can't wait even 12, 24 hours, she takes precedence and the triage. Okay. Practical considerations. Can another surgeon take the case? Can the old lady be rescheduled in the next 24 hours? Could a quick intervention stabilize the girl until the surgeon is free? Recommendation. Okay, here's a spicy part. You could advise your friend to immediately consult the hospital ethics board or the triage team, access clinical urgency rigorously with the medical team, attempt to coordinate care, perhaps stabilize the girl or resign the old lady's case if possible. Okay. Ethically reasonable paths. If the girl's case is a true emergency and no one else can help, she must be prioritized. If both are urgent, but the old lady was scheduled and cannot safely be delayed, then honoring that surgery is also defensible. Your friend should not carry this burden alone. Clinical ethics teams and hospital administrations exist to help navigate exactly such morally complex situations. Okay, it didn't give me a direct answer. I'm gonna put forth a follow question. I'm just hoping it gives me a direct answer because I'm really interested to see. But it's if it can give me a direct answer, telling me to save the old lady or save the young girl. So just put a follow-up question really quick. There are no surgeons. There are no other surgeons. He is the only one. And only these two choices exist. I'll make it a bit light for it to give me an answer. I just want your take. I will think about other options as well. Okay, okay. So there we go. We have our answer. Given the stock constraint, only one surgeon, two patients, both will die without intervention. Only one can be saved. This becomes a tragic choice with no perfect answer. But if I must give a clear, reasoned recommendations, here I would approach it. I would advise your friend to operate on the 14-year-old. So ChatGPT or the AI, I think in this case made the right choice. Oh, I was thinking that's gonna give me that it basically gave me here multiple versions of that answer, but this final answer is what I would expect from a human being as well. So I'd say, ChatGPT, you passed this test with flying colors. This is exactly the response I would await from a human. Not saying that not saving. Don't get me wrong. I'm not telling I'm not surgeon. I don't have a surgeon friend. This is just a question. But if I were to ask a human or anyone, basically, I would expect this answer to operate on the 14-hour clock. There we go. These were my 5 questions. ChatGPT, it did, I would say, it did a good job. It passed almost all the tests except that assistant test. That assistant test too, it passed, but that assistant is basically you cannot talk with it. You can only say hi, hello, and that's basically it. But still, I think it passed most of the tests. So that was today's video. That was all I wrote. I hope you liked it. I hope you had a laugh, or I hope you found the video interesting. And if you did, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. All of those things helps a small channel like me tremendously. And till next time.